Dr. Kingsley Emu joins us now. He's the Principal Secretary to Okowa Campaign Organisation in Delta State's PDP. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
Well, as we're taking a look at preparations for these elections, yes, the governor there is speaking about how this is a localized elections, different from the presidential, so the dynamics are completely different. Well, many even suggest that, look, it's going to be a lot more, maybe for want of words, fiercer across those areas because interests are involved. Not that they were not at the presidential level, but this is closer to them. How are you preparing for this one in the States?
We're very ready at the 25 local government areas that we have in Delta State. We're even better prepared at the 270 wards that we have in Delta State. And much more, and in fact best prepared in the 4,547 units that we have. We're entrenched. We're ready. It's all about grassroots. We've been in the system for well over 16 years and still counting. We have extended a lot of goodwill. Are we where we're supposed to be? No. But government is a continuum. We've had to do the bit that we have done. Our poverty index for Delta is below the national average, 54 is against 62. Our Greek sector is on the growth path. Economy is largely oil and gas, which accounts for about 73% of our GDP. Our GDP has also grown over the period from, well, even with the rebasing, and that puts us in an advantage position at 24.86 billion. Economy is skewed, there's no doubt about it. It's based on the extractive industry. Even though oil and gas accounts for about 73% of our GDP, it only accounts for about 2.3% of our employment. So we have employment issues. Agric, which contributes about 23%, only accounts for about 60% of employment. So we're ready in terms of preparation. We have a brand, huge brand in Delta, and then we have gone around the entire units. In terms of structure, we are grounded. Apart from having local government election campaign committees, even during election, we have local government and ward election management committees, which spreads down to the units.
So you don't even see the opposition in your state as a threat?
It's healthy to have opposition, certainly not a threat. Healthy to have opposition, certainly not a threat, especially with our brand.
I'm looking at your composure, which is good. You sound extremely confident, so much so, like, you know, they don't even pose any threat whatsoever to you.
No, there's opposition. They've tried to have some good showings. Olorogun Ogboro has been around, so he's a familiar face. Olorogun Otega is also there. Gentlemen, but we're on ground. PDP is on ground. Our brand has been on ground for well over 20 years, Senator Dr. Okowa, and he's a dead grassroots person. He has been in governance for well over 16 years without blemish.
You know, a lot of people would argue with you about that because they'll say these other men you've mentioned, said Ogboro and Otega, have been on ground too, and they are strong brands as well. So what makes your brand different from this?
Oh, well, it's about experience. I have just told you about all the units and all the wards and how entrenched we are. I'm also telling you about a man who has been through SLG, which is Secretary to Local Government Area, through the chairmanship of the council, which is core grassroots. He's been a 3-time commissioner. He's been a secretary to government. He has contested elections. He has gone to Senate. He has had a sterling performance at Senate. What else? I know of these two gentlemen. I give them their credits. They are not experienced in governance. I was part of private sector. I became a politician. I just can't step into it and do it the way it's done. I was a commissioner for about 3.5 years. It took me well over 2 years, 3 years, 2 years to understand the dynamics and how it works. Public sector does not work the way private sector works. You jump up and go. That's not it. Public sector has a lot of dimensions and intricacies, and it requires somebody who is well-grounded, especially now that we have huge challenges. I can tell you, in our fingertips, we can tell you where and how our SMART, which is the acronym for what he sets out to do, will clearly address the current challenging issues, given the dwindling resources that we have in Delta.
Let's look back a bit about how he merged. I mean, he was also fiercely contested.
Yeah.
Have all those been sorted out? Has the party pulled together in one direction now?
Oh yes, I mean, you heard our governor has been in the forefront of this campaign, and he was obviously on the other side during the primaries. It's a common knowledge. Somebody called me from Abuja sometime when we tried to put up the campaign committees, and he said to me, Kingsley, what kind of campaign committee is this that you will have? I say it's a reconciliation document. It's an all-inclusive document. Everybody is involved in the entire process. As I speak to you, the chairman of the campaign is an Urugu man. The head of operations, Professor Yowari, who is chairman of the council, is Urugu man. The chairman, the head of operations is an Urugu man, Honorable Agas. The head of security is Askia, is Adisoko man. You can hardly find, in fact, it's a pan arrangement, it's a pan delta structure. It's not about window dressing. It's about having the people who understand the system. I'm mentioning them, and I'm also mentioning their pedigree in the system. You recall that Senator Okowa has been through the furnace. When we were going through the senatorial election, I was a DG when he went for the senatorial election. Channels was there, and he knew what happened. The world knew what happened. He won that election fair and square, despite all the challenges. And then he came to governorship. We knew that that was the first step in the door for 2015. We knew that this was a good man that could be stopped by all means. And then you heard what His Excellency said, and as a prelude to our interview. He said, if you have somebody at the center, you are most likely going to be tortured because they'll be given instructions from there. But when you are alone at the state, it's a localized issue. Impeachments will be more with people who are people at the center. So there were some interferences there. And then we withered the storm. We were here again for governorship. Yes, and you could see what happened. It was another torturous process. We knew we were going to wither the storm as usual because we have a brand. We have a brand, a man who understands the system. And let me also say that this is not a time for experiments. The system is in such a precarious position. When I say not a time for experiment, I'm also not saying that it's a time for a second term or a third term. I'm saying for a man who has been tested, who is well grounded, who knows his onion. If you come face to face with Senator Okowa, he will tell you, he will unveil his programs. His programs are pretty, he's proposing offering prosperity for all Deltans. And it's bottom-up prosperity. It's not for the man who has 3 jeeps to go driving more jeeps. No.
So
we're looking at the agribusiness.
Bottom-up
that's the direction.
prosperity. Let us talk about that. What exactly does that entail?
Bottom-up prosperity means that we'll be looking at job creation for people. We're putting food on people's table. We'll be leaving the fallopian, idealistic, white elephant projects and focusing on agriculture and agribusiness. 18,050 square kilometers. That's how where Delta State is located. 60% of it is land. 40% is water.
You're talking about fallopian white elephant project.
Yes.
Done by who?
No, I am saying we're not at this critical moment in our history. We are not looking at matter, because the subject matter, the issue at stake is what kind of bottom-up prosperity. And I'm explaining that we're going back to agriculture. We're going back to industries. We're going to connect both, and that's agribusiness. We're going to localize them in their respective areas. We're capable of doing one product in one local government, and in fact, in excess of that, because in the entire Delta, we have good weather, we have good lands, 60% of it. I agree that our land mapping has not been finalized, but land mapping is on. And then we have water. In the geo axis, you can run as much as possible.